What's up, everybody? This is Dale Luganville with the Full Scale Outdoors Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, if you haven't done so already, I'm going to keep bugging you guys about this. Find us on Facebook, Full Scale Outdoors. Find us on Instagram, fullscale_outdoors. And if you're on the Apple Podcast, please rate, give it a good rating, leave a review, like it if you're listening to it on YouTube or whatever the platform is. I think the only one we're not on is iHeartRadio right now, and that's just because their policy, like you have to have an active podcast for 3 months, and that shouldn't be a problem. If all goes well, I plan to be here for at least 3 months, if not 3 years, if not 30 years. I'd like to just keep doing this, and with your help, we can make that happen. So go take care of that stuff, get that out of the way. Now for this podcast, I sit down with Captain Josh. He's a guide here in Minnesota. And we sit down, we record it at a cafe, so if you hear a little background noise, that's why. I don't think it should be too bad. Although with that said, when we recorded, some guy went on, I had like a coughing fit right there. So I'm like, well, that's great, perfect. However, when we first sat down, we had a great conversation. Everything flowed really nice. He's really funny. He's really smart. And I look over, and I'm not recording. I'm like, what? I pressed the thing. I saw it recording. It started moving. Well, apparently it didn't. Actually, my screen said no SD card, but I know I put in an SD card. And even Josh goes, I saw you put an SD card in there. So I check it. I open it. Sure enough, there's an SD card in there. Take it out, slide it back in. It still says no SD card, but then it thinks for a split second, and then boom, we're good to go. Like, oh. Are you kidding me? I don't even know how long we were talking. It was well over an hour. I mean, just great flow. Like, I don't know how you recreate that. You know how it goes when you're talking with someone. There's no way you could recreate what you just said. So we jumped back into it. He was gracious enough to give me even more of his time than he already did, which I was very appreciative of. Knowing he's a guide and he's moving ice houses around, he's got a ton of stuff to do. I let him off the hook. I'm like, hey, man, if you got to get going, I get it. I ain't going to stop you. We'll reschedule another time. But he's like, no, I got a little bit of time. So we sat down and just kept the conversation going. I don't think we tried to dip back into what we were talking about, but, we just kept going, and it was pretty easy. He's a great guy to talk to, super easy guy to talk to. He knows what he's talking about, and I'm sure he's a great guide. You guys got to look him out. If you're looking for a guide in Minnesota, give him a call. He works all over the state, and he'll have all his contact information on the end. But I think you're really going to like this one. This is technically part 2 with Captain Josh Hagemeister, but you'll never get to hear part 1 because, podcaster's worst nightmare right there. But here we go. Without further ado, this is the Full Scale Outdoors Podcast with Captain Josh. Oh, here we go, boys.
Go.
Ooh, I love that sound. This is a good one.
Houston.
Is it actually recording this time? Hey, look, there
I've
it goes.
got news. There's no life on Mars. Let's get the hell out of here.
Wow. So, yeah, we're going to try this again. We already been talking for who knows how long. Had some really good stuff in there, too, I thought.
Well, some of it might have been borderline.
Podcast gold.
Illegal.
Okay. Shh, they don't know. No one will ever know because it didn't record, so we might as well just assume it was the best content podcast universe would have ever heard. But, oh, no. It lied to me and said there was no SD card in there. And you witnessed me put that SD card
I
in
did.
there.
I saw it. I saw you click it in there. It was just like you were putting it in your
It's like
Hummingbird.
It's like the podcaster's worst nightmare. And I swear I looked at it and it was recording, and obviously it wasn't. So here we go. And I don't know if we're going to rehash stuff we've already talked about. Probably not, because that just gets – God, there was some good stuff. We were talking about anus oil. We talked about tournament fishing.
Yeah, scented
God,
plastics,
God.
anise oil.
Terrible. All that good stuff missing.
All
I don't even know where to go from here. I'm so frustrated now. Now I'm drinking.
Kind of slam the clam.
Whose water is this?
I don't know.
I'm drinking. Who knows? We're going with that. I probably put it next to my phone, so that would make sense. Like I need to drink any more water. I usually have like a camel bladder, but drink a large coffee on the way up here, driving to St. Cloud. We're at what I didn't do the first time around is explain where we're at. We were recording this in a cafe, the Copper Lantern in St. Cloud, Minnesota. So you might hear a little bit of background noise, but it shouldn't be too bad. There, Copper Lantern got a free plug.
Yep.
Maybe they'll hit them up for a free
bacon
roll on the way out. No, fortunately, I'm here with Captain Josh with the Minnesota Fishing Guide Service.
The one and only.
That's a pretty good.
What?
How'd you stumble upon that name? That's pretty good.
I call it the six-pack name. Here's how it started. I started guiding when I was 16, 17 years old. Bought my first car and boat when I was 17, I think is what. Long story short, 1987. I graduated 89.
Okay. Oh, you're not that much older than that.
No, I'm 48.
I graduated in 91, so.
Just turned 48. So I'm still 47 at heart. No, I'm 25 at heart. That's BS.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm more like 16 or 17.
I'm very mature.
Really immature.
For my age.
Yeah. Same.
So I do my best to try to act my age, but it doesn't work. Anyway.
That's no fun.
So when I first started my guide service, I called it Trophy Guide Service. Okay? Based on the theory that everybody wants to catch a trophy fish or whatever.
Sure.
Right? Mind you, this is 1987 or something to that effect. There's no internet. There's no Facebook. There's no social media.
Nobody to brag to.
Advertising was done through community education seminars, writing articles for newspapers, sportsmen's papers, things like that, hanging up signs at resorts.
Sure.
I had vinyls on the window of my Blazer I drove at the time. I actually had a sign made and stuck it on the window.
Sure.
Trophy Guide Service on my number, 252-1761. Not my number anymore. I don't know whose that is. So don't call it.
Yeah.
Well, we should call it. Hey, is this Trophy Guide? Who the hell is this?
8675309.
Right. And Jenny.
Jenny's Guide Service.
That might work too. Anywho, so I kept it that way for a long time, and then I had the fortune and ability to attend college for roughly 8 years at St. Cloud State. Changed my major twice, and somewhere along the line, the internet was picking up speed and social, internet searches.
Sure.
Oh yeah. One of the classes I took talked about that and search terms, keywords.
Oh yeah,
keyword. Remember the keyword?
That was one of the big
keyword.
Yeah. AOL keyword.
And I was sitting, sitting in class one day, and then I was back at my apartment with my roommates, and we were having some beer and probably watching The Simpsons. And it hit me that I have to change my guide service's name right now.
Wow.
And I need keywords that are going to work. So I picked Minnesota Fishing Guide Service.
all four powerful words.
Yep. And so right away I called an attorney who has to file it with the state.
Sure.
The name, and you have to get it certified and put it in the paper.
Make sure nobody else has it.
Assume a certificate of, I don't know what they call it anymore, but
you
got to renew it every 10 years. And so I did. And so I own the rights to that phrase. Always have.
Wow.
It's trademark too, by the way. Which saved me from a guy named Josh in Wisconsin that was using
I guess I'll send another email to my lawyer saying, forget that.
Yep.
Ignore the previous one.
So there's a few ways around it, but for the most part, if I spot it, I will call and you'll get a letter and you'll have to take it down.
Cease and desist.
That's right. I've done it before.
Yeah. Well, it's generic, but yet
specific.
It's owned. But it's an own generic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I call it the six-pack decision because I remember we were having Busch Light six-pack.
Busch Latte.
And that was what we came up with. And within a week, that was in the early 90s sometime. I think 3 maybe or 2. I've had it ever since.
That's why I asked you if you were part of a guide service. It sounds like a bannerhead of, multiple guys under one label, if you will.
Right.
But
yeah, there's guys that help me out, but it's not. I don't claim to own a bunch of guides like a lot of guides do, which they don't really own because they're all subcontractors.
Correct.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I own about 4 or 5 different variations of it as well. So if somebody tries to tweak it, odds are I already own it.
How could you fish it?
Hmm?
I mean, how could you change it?
Oh, there's a little ways. I won't even mention them. I'm
gonna come up with a clever one. Steal it.
Some
the real Minnesota fishing guys.
I've even there's even hunting incorporated in a couple of them.
Oh, there you go. Do you do any hunting?
I used to, but it was too dangerous. And I like to hunt myself. That's my stress reliever.
Sure.
After fishing all summer,
I
like to hunt myself and not have to worry about customers. So don't do that.
Getting the hook in the ear is slightly less dangerous than a shotgun.
Yes. Yes. A little bit.
Slightly.
A little bit.
A quicker ER visit, for sure.
So yeah, and and it does fit. Since I ended up fishing the whole state anyway. All the major areas we talked about earlier, but
that nobody will know.
Nobody will ever know. So yes, you might see me in Alexandria one day, and then you might see me in Brainerd a day later, and then you might see me in Walker the Saturday after that, and you might see me all over the place. It's like a shapeshifter.
A shapeshifter or a traveler.
Shape traveler.
Shape traveler.
Is that the one?
A shape traveler. Around. I'm a wanderer. Yeah. That's it. You got a song written about you.
That's right.
Call me the wanderer.
Gypsy. Bob's Gypsy Guide Service.
Gypsies,
that might
Tramps,
work too.
And Thieves. That wouldn't be a bad one. No, I don't think you're going to trust that one. I would think the trouble you got with Trophy Guide Service would be somebody who didn't catch a trophy.
I never had that. Hey, I never had that problem.
I didn't catch a trophy.
I never had that problem, but the comment that I was hearing, and this made me, along with the timing that I had to change my name, is people would think of trophies. Like, I might have got a call.
Like sports trophy?
Yes, I might have got a call in time that said something. I need 14 Babe Ruth mini, not mini golf. What are they?
The bobbleheads?
Little league baseball trophies.
Trophies, sure.
Yeah, no, wrong trophies.
I need a bowling trophy. What? No.
So
that happens with the difference between a sporting goods store and a sports shop.
True.
That as I ran into that, I'd be looking for a sporting goods store, and I would put in, again, back in the baby days of the internet, I'd put in sporting goods, and they would show me a bunch of soccer stores. They don't sell hooks here. This isn't helping me out.
Right.
I think since then they've kind of distinguished the names a little bit, but yeah, a sports shop versus a sporting goods store.
Yeah, no, the computer reads things differently now than it did.
Yeah, this
10
much
years
better.
ago.
Well, there's a lot more information into it.
Yeah. So if you have an old website, you have to have it tear it down and throw it away and rewrite it, the software, because odds are Google's not picking up on you if you're 10 years old. Doesn't read your language anymore.
Did you do the MySpace experiment? Where you had to basically
I think I did
crash course learn how to type code just to punch in a picture on that stupid thing.
Yeah, I think I did do it for a little bit.
I fought Facebook for the longest time because my friends were trying to sell me on. I had a MySpace page, and then people were trying to sell me on Facebook, and I'm like, isn't it the same thing? I'm like, I'm not going to manage 2 pages. That's dumb. And then somebody finally was like, dude, it's so much. He's like, you know how you have to do the code and go through Photo Bucket, a whole different site just to post one picture? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you don't have to do that. I'm like, what? He's like, here, I'll show you. And then I was like, oh, bye MySpace. Forget that.
Right.
Bye, Tom. I'm not. We're not friends anymore. No way. I'm out. Facebook is where it's at. So, and now I'm kind of starting to transition more to Instagram. Do you have an Instagram?
I do. I don't use it that much. I've got all the normal stuff, and it's on my list every year to use YouTube more and
Twitter.
to use Instagram more and Twitter more.
Twitter I don't use.
And all that. And like I said before, there's only so much you can do in a 24-hour day.
Yep.
6 of them is sleeping.
Yep.
And the other
6 of them, if you're lucky.
The other 18 is in a boat or in a car.
Yeah.
Right. And getting ready for the next trip and all that.
Right.
Check and make sure your kids are still alive. Things like that.
Yeah, they can take care of themselves.
So
they got phones. They'll let me know if they're dying.
I try to do my due diligence, and the fortunate and unfortunate thing nowadays, one of the biggest transitions I have seen throughout the in the fishing industry as far as somewhere where I stand, and I'm sure you know too. Back in the day, we'll say roll it back 15 years, maybe even 10 years. Probably 7 years. I'm just
getting
going
smaller.
through my head here. your sponsor, you had to produce fish using their stuff.
Yes.
You had to kind of document it somehow. And a lot of times you took them fishing with you. Let's see if this guy is worth his salt. I'm not giving him any money.
Sure.
Until he can even prove that he's whatever.
Right.
Nowadays, it doesn't matter. You can go to any manufacturer, and as long as you meet their social media requirements, you'll get sponsored.
Yep.
Now, the definition of a sponsor to me is somebody that actually pays you money and supplies product
stuff. That doesn't
to promote
exist
their
very
stuff.
much anymore.
You have to be a standard sponsorship now for a newbie is, hey, we'll give you a sticker, a hat, and we'll give you 20% off, but you have to order a minimum $500 worth of stuff from us to get your That's called marketing, and you're a sucker.
Yeah, that's what they call the pro staff, which does not mean professional.
I disagree with that.
It means promotional.
I'm on some good pro staffs, and there's a reason why I only have 8 or 9 versus 30, because I don't want the 20 that I go to Fleet Farm and get 20% off any day of the week off something.
Sure.
And buy a minimum.
Watching the sales.
And I'm not going to sit in a sports show booth all weekend in Fargo, North Dakota for you and spend my money for 20% off a freaking jig.
Right.
Not happening.
Yeah.
My accountant would yell at me. He'd slap me like a bitch. Okay, first of all.
So I don't have one because he'd have me strung up in the street already.
So thanks to all my sponsors that are very generous, and I do my due diligence and I do my job above and beyond as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And people have heard this from me already. I'll say, I don't go out and hunt sponsors. I mean, as of right now, I'm not officially sponsored by anybody but Full Scale Outdoors because it's my company.
I like the Talladega Nights. When he's his own sponsor. Will Ferrell.
I think I've only watched it one time.
At the end, he's got his own car.
First, you're last.
You're not first, you're last. Yeah.
Which I agree with, actually.
It's a good saying, by the way.
If you're second, you're the best loser. That's all that means.
I have no problem with that.
That's pretty much
second's good.
Going through
I'm a B+ student.
Well, in the Minnesota Made Ice Fishing League here, we finished the year in 8th place overall out of 25, which I'm happy with. But I got the same payout. As second place.
The trick is consistency.
Zippity-doo-dah.
Everybody gets first eventually, but the trick is to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why in our previous unrecorded conversation, we talked about being a tournament angler for 5 minutes, and I said, well, here's what's going to happen if you're going to be a touring pro, fishing pro. You're going to go broke, you're going to be drunk, and you're going to be divorced, more than likely.
Yep.
And there's a reason why you don't see many touring pros.
What if I have those already?
For more than then you're ahead of the game.
Does that mean that I should just be a tournament angler then? Well, they should be waiting for me.
That's a pretty
been divorced.
That's a pretty bad stereotype, but trust me, if you talk to enough of those guys, and you'll understand soon why they're only there for about 3 years.
Yeah.
It's
a grind, though. You're on the road all the time, traveling
and most of
state to state.
Kind of back to what we just talked about the social media requirements versus actual skill. Nowadays, to be a touring pro, all you need is a checkbook and a company that runs itself while you're gone.
Deep pockets.
Yeah, you don't have to know how to fish.
Yeah.
I can be. Well, no, you don't. To be on the touring circuit, you don't.
No, they'll take your money. They'll take your entry fee.
You write a check, and you get a number, and now you're a touring pro.
Right.
Whether you win or lose, doesn't matter.
Well, I'm a pro angler. I mean, I've been paid to fish.
Right.
So
now it's a little bit different than back in the the Roland Martin days or even the Linder days when they first started.
Yeah.
Living out of your car, scratching up enough money to get an entry fee.
Yeah.
And catch fish and win a couple dozen times. And all of a sudden, sponsors are looking at you. Now people are giving you some money. Yes. Right. That, like NASCAR. Until fishing turns into what NASCAR is as far as sponsorships.
If you look at their boats.
I don't know.
But see,
it's a grind. Either way, it's a
grind.
The
difference is boats can turn right.
Yeah. Right. They back up.
Go in any direction.
Right. Driving backwards most of the time. I shouldn't say that.
If you're a walleye guy, you're
right. Sometimes, half the time.
Back trolling, baby.
Right. So it's a very interesting, I wouldn't want to be starting over again.
No.
The only benefit you have is you do have social media, and you can tell somebody in Africa that come here and catch a bass. You couldn't do that in 1989.
Sure.
No, you just couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would never. They wouldn't even know what a bass is.
So, in other words, if you have any business sense at all, starting a guide service now, in theory, could be easier because of the outreach.
Well, it hasn't been for me so far.
You know what I mean?
I got to get better at that.
I don't know.
It's not the fishing part.
It's an
I'm sure it was
interesting
getting the client's part, but
I'm
it'll
just glad I
happen.
don't have to start over again.
Right.
It takes a long time.
Well,
It could take a long time.
if I could go back into my younger self with obviously the knowledge I have now, and who wouldn't do that no matter where you were going to go with that knowledge, I would have got into it sooner. I mean, it's always been like my passion. I had a lot of self-doubt, if you will. Like I was the only person in my way of making this a career.
Well, that's true with anybody.
Yeah. It was
anything.
Finally got
Isn't
to
it? I
the,
think
well,
it
because
is.
we were both 16-year-olds basically. So we already admitted that. So, I mean, I finally got actually old enough, calendar old enough to go, why don't you work for yourself? Go do what you want to do. There's money to be made out there. You're not going to get rich, but as long as you can pay the bills and you're not hating your life every day,
Right.
let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Right.
Well, giving it a shot. Well, I figure worst case scenario, I won't regret it. Like, people on their deathbed, they don't regret things they've done, unless they're really shitty things. But they generally regret things they didn't do. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have traveled here. Those are the things that people on their deathbed talk about. And, maybe I'm back tying iron sooner than I want to be, but
Sure.
I'm not going to regret any move that I made in this direction. And I think it's going to work out. It's going to take some patience, weather a few storms. It's going to be fine. What I'm really enjoying is this podcast. I mean, getting a chance to sit down with you. I mean, I didn't know you from Adam until we sat down and met face-to-face today. A couple correspondence by email. But, I mean,
You could have been a serial killer.
pretty cool. I still can be. Guess we won't know.
That white van
That's
is
what
kind of suspicious.
Wow. I mean, the windows, it doesn't have any windows, so I put some window-looking stickers on it. Baby on board and,
Right.
stuff like that.
If you opened the back door and you had a chair and a cast and you said, hey, help me load this, I probably would have said no.
Want some candy, little boy? Have to drive up in an ice cream truck? I thought you were a fishing guide. I'm fishing for something different.
I'll tell you what, though, on that whole note, back in the day, you got a phone call, a voicemail, right? Hey, this is Bob. Well, we'll pretend I'm
On the answering machine.
and we're coming up to Leech Lake June 28th. I'd like a full-day trip. I got 4 people. What's your availability? Pretty standard phone call.
Sure.
Now, it's an email.
Yep.
Hi, this is Bob. Coming up to Leech Lake June 28th. Are you available? Blah, 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 blah. Sure I am. And you can call these. I generally do call people right back.
Sure.
I'm a
Yeah, I
faster
try to,
talker
yep.
than the email. However, the email is a good trail of evidence and reminders and things like that.
Yep.
So, but for the most part, probably 75% of the people, I don't even know what they sound like until I meet them
Sure.
at the dock or at the
Yeah.
wherever we're going to meet that day. I have no clue what they sound like, or
Right.
are you the
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
What's going on? So that's kind of odd, but that's how things have changed.
Yeah, for sure. But I do, like I said, I know my short-term memory is garbage, so having that trail, that electronic trail, I mean, like, what was that guy's name again? I go back through my emails or text messages. I like the text, so almost all of my correspondence, even if I start with email, I'll say, feel free to call or text me at this number. It's
Right.
just,
Well,
I like having the text. It's easier.
And then there is that. There's the guy that has never hired a guide before, or the gal.
Got a bunch of those.
And they have a lot of questions, of course, and I have a lot of answers and a lot of options. It's not just, cut and dried. There's tons of options. I'll say, please call me on this number, and we'll get this done in about 5 minutes.
Right.
You can type that every day,
Sure.
but the email will go on for a week, back and forth and back and forth. I make my living in a boat, not in a cubicle.
Right. I'm not
in
sitting
front of a laptop.
computer.
And then they start to get mad because you're not responding fast enough. And again, my answer is,
Call me.
I'm in a boat. Call me.
Yep.
This will be done. So finally they call. Sorry, that date's been booked.
Right.
Booked it a week ago.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd have called me right away, it'd have been yours.
Right.
So there is a certain point where the technology is hindering people from getting what they want done.
That is true.
Backfires.
Yep, that is true. And there's really no excuse for it.
No.
I mean, you have all the technology at your fingertips.
You're going to have to talk to me for 4 hours whether you like it or not. So you might as well start now.
Yeah, right?
All right.
Get out of the way. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe
right.
Find out. Find out right away. Wait till you're trapped in a boat, fighting your way through it. But I don't know.
So, yeah, that's kind of frustrating. I wish it was still more phone calls. I don't know. There's goods and bads to it.
Yeah, I like phone calls. I mean, I'm a talker, obviously. I mean, so I'll talk to anybody. But I like again, once the phone call's gone, if you just told me your name, I'm going to forget your name. But if you send me a text or an email, I can at least reference that. I'm like, okay, it was Josh. All right, cool. Perfect. So I'm terrible with names. I don't know what that is. I can't. I think for me, like when I meet somebody, I was always taught to have good eye contact, nice firm handshake, that kind of stuff. So in my mind, I'm making sure I'm presenting myself well and being respectful to the other person. So when they tell me their name, ironically, very disrespectfully, I forget their name because I'm making sure I'm concentrating on eye contact, handshake, listening to what they're actually saying, being engaged as a conversationalist or just meeting somebody, and then it's like, shit, what was their name again? Well, and now I sound like a jackass. I got to go,
yeah.
What was your name?
Well, yeah, yeah, you got to have a system to remember names. On the average day, I have to remember 8 names.
Oh, I'm going to have to get better at that.
2 different chunks. It's easy when you fish them all day because once you get, the first hour, then you got it made all day.
I'm going name tags
right
out of the gate.
But you could. My system is pretty standard. I usually associate something with them. Like suppose your name is Rob. You're wearing a red hat. You're a red hat Rob.
Red hat Rob.
Every time I look at that red hat, I'm thinking Rob. And the first, 14 times I talk to you, Rob, I'm going to use your name a lot, Rob. Hey, Rob, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I'm brainwashing myself to not forget your name.
That's smart. For sure.
Or in my mind, I'll think of something, just kind of sick. Like, I'm going to remember this guy's name.
Sick.
You know what I mean?
Say it.
So it does work. And
I bet.
And then I make it a point to ask him all 2 or 3 questions. And I try to fool myself. Like, I'll talk to the guy in the bow first.
Sure.
Then I'll talk to the guy right by me second. And then I'll maybe talk to the guy over in the front port side third. And then I'll bounce back to the guy by me and then back up to the bow on purpose to see if I can fool myself to forget. And after I play this mind game, for about a half an hour, it's then I don't forget.
To stick. Yeah.
Then I don't.
Well, I'll probably have to adopt some of those things because I am the worst. Be like, hey, let's bait your hook quick.
Or if it is a confusing situation for some reason, we'll say they all look alike,
or they're twins.
They're all wearing Iowa Hawkeyes crap because they're all from Iowa.
Well, you don't let them fish in your boat anyway.
Or they're all Gopher fans and they're all wearing maroon. You know what I mean? There's some of that. And so then I'll just write it on my hand. Here's my boat. Here's my seats. I'll write 5 little names on my hand, and I'll look at that 2 or 3 times, and then that's
you got her down to a science.
Another way I have to do it.
I'm probably gonna struggle. I know I will. I know I'll struggle with that piece. Guaranteed struggle for that piece, for sure.
Because you got that going through your head, but then I've got the wheels turning. Okay, time to work.
Yeah.
Catch fish.
Find
fish.
Yeah.
Catch fish.
But that part comes natural, right?
What
you
are you
don't
doing?
think about
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Right? That's just instinct.
What are we doing?
You just done it so many times it just happens, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the one thing we did talk about before.
Are we recording now?
We're recording now. Yes. So the one thing we did talk about before we even fake recorded, the first time.
That was a dry run.
It was a really good dry run too. There was some good stuff in there. But we talked about in Minnesota here. They have a new limit size structure for northern pike that I would assume most people in Minnesota are aware of. But
no, they're not.
But they're probably
they are not.
So it'd be a good thing to cover.
Last year was the DNR's grace period. I don't think they wrote many tickets last year for the wrong size pike.
But get ready.
But this year, if you noticed, I picked up 10 of the new reg books yesterday, and the top of the book says, in 2018, the national pikes or the pike rules changed, something like that.
Right.
That's right. This is the year they're going to start writing tickets for that. But I plant people in a fish house, and they're catching pike. They don't have a clue what they are. they didn't put any billboards on Highway 94 last year saying pike rules have changed.
Sure.
They should put one on 94 and one on 10.
Yeah, and 35.
All the highways go on to wherever.
Yeah.
They do not do that.
Just go north. Nobody goes south.
They don't have to, right? But 9 out of 10 people didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
You could walk up to that spear house over there right now and ask the guy in there spearing if he knows the rules, and he'll say no.
No.
Don't have a clue.
See a fish, I stick it.
or the angling house over there.
Sure.
Or, you know.
Well, even in Mille Lacs.
I saved the guy some money when on a lake not too long ago. We were crappie fishing, and the guy over, I don't know, 20 yards away was how yipping and yelling out of his fish house, and he gets out, and he's got about a 20-inch pike in his hand. He asks his buddy, which is over by knee kind of, do you want this fish? And I told him, I said, you can't keep that fish. That's going to be an expensive lunch.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean?
Doubt.
I said, the rules changed last summer, 2018. Well, what do you mean? I said, you got to throw that back. It's in the slot 22 to 26, or and I got to look myself all the time.
Oh yeah, I can't
because I've
the
been
names. I don't remember and some lakes have their own. So it's
right.
Like you have to.
And on that note,
you have to be on your game.
The yellow signs at the boat landings trump the printed regulations.
Right, because they can change.
Like here's an example.
Instantly.
Pearl Lake west of St. Cloud here.
Okay.
Little bowl prairie lake. Has different pike slot than the 22 to 26.
Okay.
There it's 24, and then one over 30. So there you can keep a 22.5-inch or 23-inch pike.
Is it still 10, the limit?
Nope. The limit there is 3.
The old limit of 3.
Correct. So, but you could go there and wonder which one do I follow?
Right.
And it's always, the wardens will always tell you, it's always the signage at the landing.
And
Trumps
the other thing
the
people
book.
should probably start carrying with them is like a Sharpie and some bags or something. Because if you say you're on that lake, you get your 3 in that size range, and you're on your way somewhere else, maybe you fish 2 different lakes in a day.
Right.
Now on the other lake, now you have a fish in your possession, in your vehicle. Maybe you didn't put it in the boat, but it's still in your vehicle. On ice, let's just say.
Well, it's going to be on ice because you can't keep it alive full of water anymore.
Right, so it's going to be on ice,
clean them out when you get home.
but it's still in your
ice.
possession.
Correct. Yep.
And now you're actively fishing
Yep.
on a lake with a different size structure regulation. That conservation officer doesn't know you didn't just run back and throw it on ice and head back out on the lake.
Correct.
And say,
and
hey, I was fishing on Pearl.
And I don't know how they handle that. I think they have to take your word for it at that point. It's no different than when they open a lake up to promiscuous fishing. Right, suppose it's a lake that's keep as many crappies as you want.
You caught my attention with promiscuous. Keep going.
Sexy. You are a very slutty lake. I'm going to fish the hell out of you. Is that what that means?
Where are you fishing? Whore Reservoir.
Hole in the Day Bay.
There it is. That's a legit spot.
This is going down a bad alley. So you keep your 400 crappies because it's legal, and you drive them home.
Right.
Your neighbor doesn't like you. He thinks you're an a-hole because you got dandelions blowing into his lawn. He calls the warden. Warden goes up, and it's only you and your wife. You don't have any kids.
Right.
Well, that means you can only have 20 possession crappies in your freezer no matter what, right?
No matter what.
But you got 300 in there because you can.
You're right.
Because you caught them in this other lake.
Sure.
Does that mean you have to gift away the other? And only
Right, you have to gift away down to the state.
How do you prove that whole thing?
Right.
I think I should call them up
what it's
right
going to
now.
come down to is you have to properly tag it. See, waterfowl hunters, I don't know if you waterfowl hunt at all,
you're
have
gonna,
to.
But back to your hauling the pike to the next lake in the cooler, you don't have them tagged.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you carry a Sharpie and some plastic bags, you're better off throwing those all in a big bag, whether you write it on a slip or on the plastic itself, time, date, wrap it up, and you could still cheat the system.
Oh, sure.
Well, let's say you did run back to the landing, and you're like, well, I'm going to just say I caught these in Pearl because it's right down the street. Yeah, you could write that on there, I guess.
Correct.
Chances are, when you get stopped by a conservation officer, they've already been watching you for a while.
No, that's right.
They already know what you're guilty of.
Yeah, you're not going to get pulled over at the BP station filling up full of gas.
No,
it's going to be at the shore.
No. Although we did get it was in the fall. We were waterfowl hunting in North Dakota, and we were at the gas station. Had the hunting trailer, and
well, that's different.
And we got checked.
That's easier to do. That's definitely. more likely to happen.
We didn't legally have to show them anything.
Right.
We were just so what? We're dressed in camo. We're hauling a trailer. You don't know what we're doing.
We just bought it.
We're drywallers. What? I mean, they don't really have a reason, but we didn't have anything to hide either. We were follow all laws. We had a wing attached to all our birds.
Sure.
And everything was on the up and up. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think as these laws kind of get more convoluted and you got lakes with special regulations, it's not the worst habit to get into. Just do your due diligence and protect yourself.
Correct.
Just like you said. Well, and I think a lot of people don't understand, too, that your possession limit is literally your possession limit. So if you have a package of crappies in your freezer and you're out fishing right now,
it doesn't matter if it's in your back pocket, your trunk, or your ashtray.
Any of those fish.
No,
technically.
Absolutely not.
And this is not I'm not saying go do this. I'm not endorsing this at all, but generally I don't think a CO is going to get on you too much if you had a couple meals in your freezer. They're looking for those grossly over-limit people that have 300, 400. Like, you're never going to eat all those fish.
Right. No, that's hard.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not promoting that practice.
It's hard for them to build a case anyway.
Keeping more than your possession limit.
A lot of information and evidence to even come to your house.
Right.
First of all.
Sure.
Personally, they can come over anytime they want. Bring some beer.
It happens. It just happened. I think it just happened this last season. Somebody was just there, go out, catch a limit of crappies, bring it in.
I'll be the first to call you in. If I see you doing it, I'll be the first one to call you in.
Yeah, I would too.
They're going to get your license plate number off the vehicle you're driving. They're going to get a description.
Yep.
And they're going to get a time frame when you're out here every day. Because I'm on the lake every day.
And
I notice stuff. So I don't be doing that.
You're protecting the resource. Those rules are made for a reason. It's meant to help everybody.
Correct.
This is, and again, another thing that we talked about for our first practice run even was like the nightmare that's on Mille Lacs, of what's the cause of that, but it just goes down back to the rules should be set, in my opinion, by scientists, not by legislators. Let the peoples whose job it is, the fisheries, the wildlife, if it's hunting, the wildlife managers, keep it scientific. And if that butt hurts a certain group of people, I'm sorry, but this is what we need to do for the overall health of the ecosystem. Like, it isn't about you. It's about the system. It's about everybody in the state, everybody that wants to recreate one way or the other. And that might not even be hunting and fishing related. That comes down to ATV use on state trails.
Sure.
You want to let everything on there and just destroy this trail?
Right.
Well, it's a state forest. I should be able to go everywhere I want. Oh, so the whole state forest, because you want to do that, should be a mud pit? It should be a shithole?
Right.
No. This is bigger than you. Sorry. It just is.
Funny you brought that up because I was talking to a trail groomer yesterday on my lunch break. The guy with the snowmobile trail
They go right in front of my house and make it a nightmare for me to get out.
He works in collaboration with the sheriff's department because he's got a report when they're grooming the trails where people are going off these trails a lot, like ripping across a farmer's field, middle of frickin' nowhere, causing
a wetland.
Yeah. And he said, there's issues all the time, and they wonder why these snowmobile clubs are losing their trails because the morons driving on them aren't following the rules. And he goes, I said, well, who do you think it is? He goes, 90% of the time, it's some young punk who just bought a mountain sled, tearing the joint up. Yeah, that's the stereotype.
Right.
It's not you and me on our Indy 2-up 2002 Polaris cruising along at 32 miles an hour.
Right.
Doing,
abiding by all the laws. It's always, and that can be said across the board for just about anything. It's always the irritating minority that ruin it for everybody else. No matter what the issue is. That's pretty much the thing.
Yeah, well,
and it comes down to the people engaging in those activities to police themselves.
Right.
That's
not going to happen.
Well, you can bring it back full circle to fishing. Let's look at muskie fishermen. They argued to have the length limit increased, the minimum.
Yeah, that's not a healthy situation. That's just my 2 cents.
They started to.
They should cap it at 45 inches.
Well, I think I personally think it doesn't matter. Like, it was great that they did that, but people actively fishing for muskies weren't keeping them anyways. So my point is they're policing themselves. They had their own internal regulations, if you will.
The only people
there wasn't tickets to be written out, but they weren't. They were the ones that chose to catch and release.
Right.
No, you got some weekend angler. He accidentally catches a muskie, and he takes it out of the population.
That's what was happening.
But then how often does that happen?
Joe Blow's trolling a number 7 Shad Rap across Walker Bay and Leech Lake and catches a 49-inch muskie, pure luck, pure chance, pure whatever. He wants to take it home, mount it.
Sure.
Biggest thing you ever caught. No, you can't. Really?
Yeah. No, I think you should be able to because
Why?
I don't think.
We don't need 75-inch muskies swimming around the lake.
Well, I would like them, but I mean, you don't have to have one around every rock.
No.
Either. But the thing, my point is that it's a chance encounter. How many of those fish are going to be taken out of any given watershed in a year? Let's just say 2 dozen. Maybe that's low, maybe it's high.
Right.
I don't know. The accidental catches.
Right.
2 dozen fish out of Lake Vermilion. It's not going to affect that fishery.
No.
That's going to be immeasurable. That's not going to mark on a graph. You're not going to see. That's not going to change it. It's not going to change your size structure. It's just not. And the people that are out there targeting them and catching them on a regular basis, they're letting all of them go.
Right.
Even if it's a 55-incher. If it's a 75-incher, which would be absurd, but let's just go 75-incher because you brought it up, that person's getting a replica.
I don't think
they're going to let it go.
I don't think they'll live to be that long.
No, they don't. But they're going to. But you never know. There could be a freak.
Sure.
Could be a shack fish swimming out there that's just, that whatever gene that limits their growth, they didn't get, or it's switched on the other way and they just grow ridiculously. It can happen. It happens. Weird shit happens in nature. But let's just say it does happen. You're not killing that fish anyways.
No.
If you're targeting it, chances are, as a diehard muskie fisherman,
between you and me and a fence post, if I'm muskie fishing, and I do quite a few muskie trips a year, and somebody caught a legal, big enough to keep, and they say, hey, can I keep this fish? I'd say, you go right ahead and mount that son of a bitch if you want to.
100%. I would too.
In fact, I think I'd encourage it because odds are that thing is going to make it much more anyway. And replicas are great, but do you have a replica of your 10-point buck?
I've never shot a 10-point buck.
If you did.
So
would you rather have the real head or
I'd
a
have the
replica?
real thing, I'm sure. But some people will cape. Some people will put a different cape on a set of horns, though.
They do it all the time.
I don't like that.
So
I want the real animal.
I want the real fish. Trust me, I've thrown back. I don't even know.
Here's my take.
But every fish that I have mounted is the real fish.
Well, I have again here, and this is going to be new to this podcast because we lost we didn't lose it. It never recorded, but I'm an extreme centrist, if you will, and this is another venue where I am. A lot of people that are super pro replica, they use it as a position of righteousness, of social justice, to somehow elevate themselves. Why are you killing that fish? That fish will never spawn again, blah, all the same arguments. But replicas are more expensive than
not
a skin.
Lot. They're pretty close
than
now.
A skin.
Yeah, a real skin mount is.
Skin mount. It's cheaper. It just is cheaper.
Yeah.
But that might mean something for somebody. Again, you're a kid fishing off a pier somewhere, and you catch this thing, and maybe your dad works at Walmart or something. Maybe he's not. You guys don't have a lot of money. Even to get a skin mount is like really putting them out. Like they're stretching the penny just to get the skin mount. There's no way they could justify the extra $100 or wherever it would be for a fiberglass replica, and you're going to wag your finger at them and poke them in the chest and say they're not as good of a sportsman because they killed that fish.
Absolutely not.
Fuck off.
Absolutely not.
I mean, that's not where we want to see this sport go, in my opinion. You should be high-fiving that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the future of the sport. The last thing you should be doing is browbeating that kid.
Right. I agree.
That kid should be, put him on the news. That's cool, man. You caught this giant fish. That's awesome.
Right.
Man. If it's not against the law, you don't have anything to say anyways, in my opinion.
Absolutely not.
You're not breaking the law. Leave them alone.
Yep. Well within your rights.
Alone. Just if you disagree with it that much, now you're back to
you're an unhappy person.
Yeah, you're just mad because you don't agree with it.
We were talking about this the other day. I was talking about with somebody because once in a while I get notes on my windshield. Damn guides are ruining my lake. I can't catch any walleyes.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Or I'll get an email or a phone call.
Wow.
And what it boils down to all the time, and they don't know me from Adam either.
Right.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't
You're
know
a
how
faceless
many.
individual.
They may see me walk off the lake and clean 12 fish in the morning and 12 fish but they don't know that I threw back 50.
Right.
They don't know that we released 4 of them that were over 6 pounds. They don't know anything. All they see is that we're taking a bunch of eaters home, well within the legal right of the people that I'm taking.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my fish.
Right.
But it boils down to every single time. I reanalyze every time I get some kind of negative
feedback or
position from somebody.
Sure.
And it's always, you know what the root cause of it all is? And it kind of relates to what you were just talking about as far as the guy getting mad about the replica, whatever. In my opinion, it all stems from pure jealousy.
Sure.
Pure jealousy.
Yep.
That guy doesn't want you to have that real fish. He wants you to get a replica of that fish because he's never caught one like that.
Sure.
He's already pissed coming out of the chute.
Right. Yeah.
And it's no different than the muskie guys claiming that the muskies are ruining the walleye fishing in this lake. I can't catch any walleyes in this lake because the muskies are in there eating them all. Well, newsflash, and you know this as well as I do. Every top 10 walleye lake in the state,
years.
let alone the world, we'll even expand to the world, has had muskies in it since the beginning of time.
Right.
So you're going to tell me that the muskies in Lake of the Woods are eating all the walleyes that people are driving up to by the thousands every winter to catch, or the 12-inch saugers they're slaughtering whatever. Muskies aren't eating. They must be eating those, aren't they?
What we need to do is control the biggest predator of walleye. I've had
an open invitation to anybody.
Walleye fishermen are the worst.
I've had a standing invitation to anybody who lives on a lake or fishes a lake with muskies and walleyes in it to
clean a muskie and find a walleye in it.
Well, not that, but pay me. I'll come show you how to catch walleyes in the lake that you're complaining about.
There aren't any. There aren't no walleyes. The muskies ate them all.
And the one I have yet to get that phone call.
Yeah, well,
but the same guy is causing problems down at the Capitol.
If the muskies don't eat them, the guides catch them all. Come on.
Yes. The guides catch them.
Nobody's better at making excuses. I don't want to piss off a bunch of people, but the walleye fishermen, they're the best. They are hands down the best in the outdoor world at making excuses. The cormorants are eating them. The muskies are eating them. The DNR didn't stock enough. The DNR is milking all the fish from this lake, so those eggs aren't going into that. There's a cold front. There was a too many bait fish. It was a mayfly hatch. Like nobody has more excuses in their tackle box than walleye fishermen. I'm surprised there's rooms left for the jig. No, and people that have listened to this podcast know me. They know I like to bust walleye fishermen's balls. But what have I been doing all winter long? Fishing for walleyes mostly.
Well, everybody knows bass are easier to catch day in and day out than a walleye.
Oh, that's so not true.
I can say that as an unbiased fishing guy.
Not quality fish, though.
I'm talking just numbers.
Yeah, I'll agree. You can fit a bobber and a hook, and you're going to catch bass all day long off a dock.
Correct. And you can do the walleyes, too, certain times of the year.
Non-stop. Yeah, certain times of the year, but I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But there's some to consistently catch quality bass.
Yeah, quality bass.
Not the case.
Well, it depends what you consider quality.
18 over.
I consider quality 3-4 pound.
Yeah.
Bunch of those.
18s.
17 inch-ish. 18. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. You'll get them consistently.
Minnesota's got bazillions of them.
Oh, it's a great great state. Bass fishing's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
It is.
Probably my favorite.
In my free time, if I have free time.
Right.
I'd just soon go throw for bass for an hour or two and get out of my system and go back to work.
For me, I don't like dragging I don't mind walleye fishing. You get on a jig bite. That's kind of fun. Jerk bait, if you're casting and retrieving. That's what I like. God, does trolling bore me. It just bores me to tears, especially if I'm dragging a Lindy rig around. I just don't. I don't know if there's a more boring style of fishing. I gotta sit there and I gotta pay attention to this light bite. Then I gotta let him suck on that leech for an hour before I can even set the hook, and hopefully he's still on there to catch a 14-inch walleye.
So you gotta find more aggressive fish.
This is I just found other stuff that excites me more.
I don't like doing that
Muskie
either.
fishing, bass fishing. I'd rather go pan fishing. I'd rather get an ultralight and go catch some stud bluegills. Pound for pound, arguably I'd say it'd be either bluegill or smallmouth bass for who fights the hardest.
I'll take the bass.
Pound for
I'll
pound.
take the smallmouth bass.
I will too, generally. But, again, that's why you got to say pound for pound. I mean, if a bluegill got to be 5 pounds, I bet you'd have a pretty good fight in your hands.
Yeah, but they're not going to jump.
True. I don't know if I've had too many bluegills.
Bluegill?
That would look hilarious, for one, because they're built like a dinner plate. But, no, I have caught, and as far as rarities, here's a little side shoot conversation. I've caught walleyes on a topwater bait before.
I've caught a jumping walleye before.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, not a true surface bait, but fishing, floating rappels on the surface. That's
sure.
Twitch bait. So I've got many walleyes doing that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happened in this one.
They're huge surface feeders.
I was hearing
just like
fish
catfish
break on the surface.
Just like catfish.
Yeah. Catfish out jumping. That's another song. But it was that night at our cabin on the river, and I was hearing these fish break, and I was assuming they were bass. So I went out and I got a popper. I threw it out there, and I'm popping it, and it kept getting hit, but I couldn't hook up. They were missing it.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like slapping at it or missing it or whatever. So I'm like, screw it. I'll go to a subsurface bait, like a husky jerk, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't touch it. So I went back to the topwater bait, and I finally hooked up, and it was a walleye. It was like a 17-inch walleye. It was a nice, decent walleye.
Sure.
I'm like, holy crap. Then I went back to the jerk bait thinking, well, they'll eat this more. I mean, they don't generally hit topwater baits. Their mouths aren't really that well adapted to it.
Right.
But doesn't mean they can't do it. It's just they're not generally up feeders.
Right.
But they were this day, and never caught another one. They would not hit the subsurface one, and I would keep getting strikes on the topwater one, but they wouldn't. I know, I was surprised too. I'm like, they should be smashing this because here's my theory behind it. That year, so this river changes a lot. There's a lot of sandbars and stuff like that, and this year, this sandbar developed just upstream from our cabin. From our property. So there was super shallow water, like a foot, and then it dropped off into like 3-4 feet real quick.
Sure.
And I think the walleyes had herded the bait fish, and so they were pushing them up on that shallow water. So they're, skylighting them, seeing their silhouette, and they were coming up almost straight up at them.
Sure.
To eat them, going after their silhouettes or whatever.
Yeah, and the good chance the silhouette of the popper was closer to
the bait
the other
fish, yeah.
size
It was
and
fatter
shape
and wasn't skinny like a. Yeah,
right.
That's very possible.
Right.
It's probably a lot of different factors, but they were hitting the popper. They just kept missing it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was moving it too fast. Maybe I just need to let it sit.
True.
Just let it.
Although they're
down.
very aggressive, if they want something, they'll take it. They'll tear your rod. They're just like anything else. They'll tear the rod out of your hand at times too.
Yeah, they'll smash it. There are times, like I said, a good jig bait. Casting a jig and dragging it or hopping it, whatever, or even swimming it. Depending on the day. That's fun. That's more interactive. I like the kind of sit and wait fishing. I'm not a giant fan of that.
You're not a slip bobber fan?
Unless you're doing what is called power corking, which I learned at a buddy of mine. He was a guide. Another fellow iron worker was a guide on Mille Lacs. And I went out with him once, and he did this thing called power corking, where we basically drove around the lake looking for schools of fish on the thing. So you'd have a slip bobber with a pretty heavy jig and a leech or a minnow, whatever, it didn't matter, and a preset depth of the bobber stop at like 28 feet.
Sure.
You'd go around and you'd get over a school of fish. He'd put it in reverse, get back over. As soon as he got over that school of fish, all the lines, boom, straight down over the side.
Right.
And then they would just go pop, 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 pop. I mean, when you got them in front of them, they bit. I mean, it was like, and then all of a sudden you'd get off them. All right, everybody reel up. Then you'd have to drive around until you found the school again.
Right.
And then, all right, drop. So that was that was pretty exciting. It was like fast paced, like it's not that dragging a Lindy rig around,
right,
which some people love. It's just not for me. I literally dropped a pole in the water because I fell asleep doing that once. I shit you not. I lost an entire rod and reel combo because I fell asleep trolling.
That's how they get down. That's how they get in the water.
To keep the rod in the boat now when I do that.
Yeah, if you're just going over the side.
I nodded off, and my hand just relaxed enough. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Oh, man.
No, but again, go find aggressive fish. But at that time, I was fishing with my then father-in-law, who, rest in peace, I don't want to talk too much shit about him, but he wasn't the greatest angler in the world. He just wasn't. He was his knowledge was limited.
Sure.
So kind of a lot like my dad was. I mean, it was like, that's all we ever did is troll.
Mm-hmm.
Lindy, Little Joe spinner. You'd change blade color and bait between minnow, leech, and worm. And you troll between 8 and 14 feet. They're either biting or they weren't. It wasn't that they might not be there.
It's still that way.
It's like they either were biting or they weren't. That's like the only way my old man fished.
It's still that way today.
I mean, it's just,
if not worse.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, knowing what I know now, or if it would have been my boat, I would have been trying something different. I'd be like, I don't think they're here. Like, maybe they're not. Maybe they're here. They're not biting, but how about we try somewhere else?
Good chance.
Or something else.
Yeah, there's just nothing there.
This is brutal. It's brutal. I can't do it. Now, like, somebody would then argue, like, why do you like muskie fishing? You can fish all day and not catch a fish. True, but if I do, chances are it's going to be a good fish. It's not going to be a 14-inch muskie, right? It's going to be even a small muskie, in air quotes, decent fish, generally. I mean, I have caught, 14-inch muskie before, which young of the year fish, but I've only ever caught one of those.
I personally love to catch 40 to 45-inch muskies. They're the spitfire, pissed-off teenage muskie fish, whatever you want to call them. I would much rather go to a lake that's full of those and catch, like Wisconsin. Let's go to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And catch, 6 or 8 in a day.
It's fun.
Than to check all day for a 52-incher.
Yeah. I like it's like every cast has that anticipation. Like, this could be the one.
Mm-hmm.
Like this could be.
And then it's a 4-pound bass.
Yeah, right. It's amazing what those things will eat, right? Yeah, gut it and let it go.
God,
I hear that all the time too. I've heard that from certain guides on Mille Lacs. So I catch a muskie, I cut its belly and let it go.
Yes.
First of all, I think they're full of shit. Second of all, if you're really doing that and I catch you doing that, I'm definitely making a phone call.
Yeah. That's just
a bad idea.
Uneducated people doing that stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is insanely ridiculous. Like, again, going back to that same argument and beating a dead horse, but we had the same argument. I kind of worded it slightly different because I'll put it in their camp. If it's that walleye guy arguing with me about muskies, I'm like, you name me the 5 best walleye lakes in this state. Mm-hmm. And there's only one that doesn't fall in this category if they were to choose it. But usually they'll say Mille Lacs, Vermilion, Lake of the Woods, Rainy. What will be the next one? Like Winnie or Leech.
Yeah.
So you could go 6, right?
Right.
Every single one of them, trophy muskies.
Yep.
So where's your argument? The only one I would throw in there that's not that would be like Ottertail. There's no muskies in
There's
Ottertail.
a few in there. There's a few
muskies in there.
There's a rogue. You'd never go fishing for
I've
them.
never seen one, but
they come to the Ottertail River.
I could see that. It's been the lake we talked about earlier, one of my favorite lakes in the state, Pelican Lake in Orr, Minnesota. On the DNR website, they list muskies, and I've been fishing up there my entire life. I've never even seen one. I've never heard of somebody catching one. I've never had one follow a bait up to the boat. Not saying they're not in there.
It's probably just
but I don't think they're in there.
Population.
Well, to get kind of the science behind it, muskies spawn later than pike do.
Yep.
But they spawn in the exact same habitat.
Right.
So they hatch out a week or two later than the pike hatch out.
Yum.
They grow so fast, the pike do, that by the time the muskie fry hatch out, they are perfect snack size for these fry pike. So if you have a lake like Pelican that is absolutely shit stacked with northern pike, good luck getting a muskie population started.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right.
You could drop 5,000 adults in there, and you'd have 5,000 adults to fish for a while until they die.
Yeah.
and then, like I said, you might have a rogue, one that somehow was a loner and never left cover long enough to get big enough that a pike couldn't eat it, and then, maybe he gets, maybe that one lives beyond. But it's really difficult. There are some lakes, I think, in Wisconsin that have muskie but don't have pike.
There's quite a few of those in Canada, too.
And I've heard and I haven't experienced this myself, but I've heard where that takes place, they kind of fill that pike niche. And if you go to fish it, you run into a large population of hammer-handle muskies.
Right.
Which would be weird.
Very weird.
We're like, what? I just caught 20 muskies today. I'm like, well, yeah, but none of them were all like 3 pounds. But like, well, whatever. I've heard the Big Fork River has a bunch of muskies,
It does.
and I have not yet fished it.
It's a good canoe trip.
That's been on my list since I was like 16, and I've never done it.
Yeah, it's nice.
I bet it'd be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of rapids, though.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, there's certain sections that are much easier to fish and
do
whatnot
a
than
float.
Yeah.
Just haven't taken the time to really plot out a put-in, take-out spot and just do it. But I really should do it. It's definitely a bucket list trip for me. Really, that would be a lot of fun.
Zero pressure.
Good bass, too. Smallmouth bass in here. So if you like bass and muskies, that'd be a good one to put on the list.
Go hand in hand.
That would be fun. They would all go hand in hand. You talk to the people like that fish. Well, I suppose probably any lake, but I know Vermilion. You chucking those 14-inch jakes or big giant, whether it's a Awakener or whatever, big giant prop bait, and they catch big smallies on it all the time.
Yeah.
Those things they're not afraid of anything.
No, when I see that situation, I typically downsize my muskie baits on purpose, just so I can catch more
more bass, especially if you're guiding. Because generally action is better than no action, even if it's not the target species.
I think, and frankly, especially on pressured muskie waters, they'll take a smaller bait before they'll take a bigger one. I'm not a hard sell as far as bigger bait, bigger fish, blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong, especially muskies and big pike and big all that
anything.
Stuff. But I've caught a lot of really nice muskies on substandard size muskie, quote unquote muskie baits. Really. And in the meantime, you're catching other stuff too.
But I did fall into that's true. But as a kid, like growing up, I fell into. I shouldn't say fell into. Like I always thought that big baits were too big. Like I wanted to catch bigger fish, but I would see this big bait, and I'd be like, I'm not going to catch these smaller fish, And at that time, I wanted action. It wasn't so much. Yeah, I wanted to catch a big fish, but then I didn't want to go out and not catch the 14-inch bass either. I still wanted, it's like, well, if I use this, I'm not going to catch those smaller bass. It wasn't until actually I kind of got into muskie fishing, started chucking huge baits, found out I'm still catching small fish on the big baits. Then I'm like, okay, I'm really not hindering myself by going a little larger. Those little fish, I've caught largemouth bass on those giant, like northern musky spoons that are literally the same length as the spoon.
Right.
Why they hit it, I don't know, but they do. And it's like, wow, really, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what were you going to do with this if you caught it?
Exactly.
I don't know what. Maybe it was a territorial strike or just a reaction strike.
Very well could be, but you're right.
Go big or go home. Although with that said, I was just in Thorn Brothers the other day. Wow, there are some big muskie baits. Like even by muskie bait standards, like I couldn't believe the size of some of them. Like, okay, you're not throwing that. You definitely are trolling.
Most of them are
and
trolling.
You are not hanging onto that rod either. That rod is in a rod holder because you're basically hitting the gym for 8 hours if you're chucking that thing.
Yeah, I think most of them are being trolled.
Thing's got to weigh 2 pounds. Some of those baits are huge.
And then you got to have the equipment to manage the bait too. So then everything is bigger, and just there's no, not there's ever any finesse in muskie fishing, but it does kind of suck when you hook into the 50-something incher and you crank it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, the fight's not. Generally, it's not.
There's no fight left.
Long. No. It's healthier for the fish.
That's kind of disappointing. I don't give a crap about the fish, okay? I'm a human. I run this planet, not the damn fish, okay? Hurt my feelings. I'll kick your fish in the face. Be quiet.
I'll kick your fish in the face. Back in the old club days. Remember the old, we
had one.
The videos? Oh, you used to sell them in the bait shop, the fish club. But if you still go back and you drag out those old VHS tapes, like even the in fisherman ones that Jim and Al Linder back in the day, they catch that big northern and big muskie and beat the living shit out of it right there on camera.
If you know you're going to keep it,
they kept everything back then. Like everything.
I would highly recommend it.
Those look at all the old pictures, even with the resorts, and you got like the bragging board there, where they hang them on the hook or whatever, and there's a full 4-man limit of 5-pound walleyes and up.
Right.
Holy crap.
Yeah, exactly.
People today would shit their pants if you kept that many big fish.
Oh, they do when they see my
They would
pictures
call
of
for your they would call for your head on a pike. There'd be public hangings and floggings. Like, it would be a bad deal. You would be chastised all over Facebook for sure. Oh my God, people wouldn't even know what to do with it. I bet if you showed them those pictures now, they'd still freak out.
Oh yeah, probably.
But obviously there's still
You know what I like
there's
about
still
those,
fish swimming in the lake. So
you know what I like
didn't
about
kill
those
it.
old pictures? You got the 1955 Buick, and you got 2 guys and 2 ladies, and they're holding up a stick, 2x4, right? What is it? 8 feet long, and there's, like you said, giant bass or a bunch of 14-pound
to it.
northerns, whatever, right? Had a hell of a day fishing, right? The guys are wearing the wool suits, hats.
Yeah. No
The
logos
ladies
on
are
any of
wearing heels, nice looking dresses. Like they got out of church and went fishing, and that was it.
I mean, you're talking about like way old, like the 50s old, where like
40s,
guys are wearing
50s.
fedoras, like basically gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good old days. We should
Yeah.
bring that back.
Machine gun in their one hand. No.
Tommy
Tommy
gun,
gun, I mean.
back. That was actually, and I might be just repeating some shit I heard, but I think this is legit. A lot of the resort business in northern Minnesota was tied to the Chicago mob guys.
Oh, sure. Rainy Lake is a huge mafia hangout.
Yeah,
there's
so
Pelican
was
a lot
too.
of places on Rainy Lake that they use to funnel and hide.
Yeah, they kind of had, as far as I
and,
understand, they had like an arrangement or an understanding with like the local sheriffs where they just turned a blind eye to it.
Yep.
That was kind of where they went. That's where they went to vacation, where they knew they weren't going to get fucked with.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm not talking out of my ass. That is actual Minnesota history. It's pretty cool. Because I always wondered. I remember like everybody that stayed at Northland Lodge there in Pelican Lake was from Indiana or Illinois. Like, the hell are they driving? Like,
still are.
They're going through Michigan.
They still are. I mean,
through Wisconsin, passing
your Rainy Lake.
How many lakes to get here?
I mean, half your Rainy Lake people are from Illinois.
So
Chicago,
it makes sense.
Or Indiana.
Once you bring up the gangster connection, you're like, all right, well, that makes sense. It's like, how did this get to be a destination? I mean, they have to travel so far. They're literally passing thousands of lakes to get here.
Well, it's northern Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know.
It is gorgeous. There's nothing to be.
It's God's country.
You can't take that away from it. It is awesome. And I would put, I don't know, I hesitate between telling people about this lake and not telling people about this lake, but by saying so, I've already told you about this lake. But if you're a bass fisherman or like any fisherman, that Pelican Lake is just, it's one of the best in the state, and it gets overlooked. People drive right past it. If you're already going that far north, you're going to Rainy or Cab, Crane. You're going right past it.
Exactly.
Which maybe that's why it's so good. Probably don't want people there.
Part of it.
But it's I don't know.
And that's one of the reasons
it's one of the most picturesque lakes too. I mean, it looks just like those Boundary Waters when you get in there. It's those rock outcropped islands and pine trees and birch trees. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. One of my, that's my happy place.
Blindfolded, you wouldn't know what lake you're on.
Yeah, I would. I remember.
You're
never
now
forget.
on Rainy Lake. Yay, I am.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No,
Sorry.
I'd be like, nope, that's Bailey's. No, I remember watching, and in fishermen's pretty good at this when they would do their filming to not like to keep landmarks from the in the backdrop when they're filming, and they generally never say where they're filming. But I remember they would always say we're bass fishing in a northern Minnesota lake. They would always say. And there were so many times I'm like, God, that looks like Pelican. But they kept it pretty. But he caught this one, and it was just a giant. And, he was going on about how this was Al Leonard's going on about how this is probably, like the biggest fish in the lake, blah, blah, blah. It was a toad. It was a big one. And it was a windy day. And as he's sitting there holding, he's talking, the boat drifts off. And it, opens up to the rest of the lake. And in that, where they were fishing is as you're coming out of Ore Bay, you come around Indian Point, and that just the whole lake opens up right there, and you can see the whole lake. Because from the road, all you see is Ore Bay. It just looks like a shallow, weedy pond, which kind of nobody would even think anything of it. But that point's it's a well-known spot. It's not a secret spot for bass. I'm not giving anything away. But as soon as it drifted and that lake opened up, I have seen that image countless times in my lifetime, and I knew right where they were at, and I was just like, they're on Pelican. So I think I called my brother. I'm like, I was watching fishermen. They're on Pelican Lake. I knew it. I knew they're fishing that lake. Get off my spot, Al. Because he's been fishing it since I was a baby, so it's not really my spot.
Right.
But it's pretty. It's a fantastic lake. I love it. It's gorgeous, so don't go there.
Dang it. You got to make a phone call really quick.
Whatever you do, don't go there. All right, we got this. This recording, let's delete this. Let's start over again. I don't want people to know about that. Disregard everything I just said about Pelican Lake. It's terrible. It's full of bullheads. It's just gross.
Rock bass and
Bullheads and carp and the, cormorants.
It's rock bass.
Right. Ooh, there are a lot of rock bass. I met somebody this week. Or not this week. This summer we were up there. These guys, I can be friends with these guys. Not only did they keep rock bass, which I do. I think per inch you get more meat off a rock bass than you do a bluegill or a crappie. They got those shoulders.
Definitely.
They got those shoulders on them.
True.
They can get a little wormy, if that's off-putting to some people, but I bred them, fry them, don't even think about it. But anyways, so these guys were, not only did they keep them when they caught them accidentally fishing for walleyes, one day, the week they were there, they went targeted rock bass. Came back with a basket full of them, and I high-fived each and every one of them. You are my
people. If you want to target
people.
rock bass, I have a deal for you.
Yeah, I love rock bass. They're great. And they're generally pretty good size because nobody keeps them.
Right. Oh, I've caught the state record multiple times.
Let's go do it. I'll slap my name on that.
I don't know if I want my name on that.
I would. I'd gladly put it. I think I'm almost positive I caught the state record dogfish without knowing it.
Oh. What is the state record dogfish?
I think it's 12 now.
Oh, I bet we caught it last summer.
I bet it gets broken all the time. People don't know what they have. So
it was 34 inches long.
We were on West Lost in Ottawa County.
That's right by East Lost.
It is. I know which direction, too.
Did you stay at West Lost Resort?
No, we were camping, I think.
Oh.
We might, or we were fishing for the day. I don't recall. But we had been catching pike all day long.
Mm-hmm. Hammer handle hell.
Yeah, just a ton of them.
Triple
and all of a
H.
sudden, I hook. I think I was using the Bill Dancing Eel. Because I was a sucker for anything that was on TV when I was a kid. They actually look pretty sexy. I mean, the way I'm surprised more people don't use them. But anyways, that's what I was catching all my pike on. They're tearing that tail up just left and right. All of a sudden, I hooked this fish, and this was not a hammer handle. And I could see it. The water clarity was good enough where I'm looking down. I don't remember how deep we were, but I just saw this big thing down there snaking around. I could see how big it was. I'm like, oh, this is a big northern.
Right.
I'd never caught a big northern yet, so I was pumped up. Like, this is my trophy. I'm like so jacked up.
You gonna get a replica or are you gonna kill it?
But at that point in time, I don't think there were replicas. They'd had to carve that thing out of wood, paint it with paintbrush. They finally got it. It was coming up, and then it dove back down. When it dove back down, that rounded off tail, I saw it, and I was like, just slumped my shoulders. Like, it's a dogfish. And my dad was still excited because he didn't see it. He's like, he had the net. And he was all ready for it. And I was like, He's like, what? I'm like, it's a dogfish. What is it? I'm like, it's a dogfish. Which I don't know why. Like, it was a great fight.
You didn't kiss that
They
goodbye.
fight great.
That hook's destroyed.
Oh, God, those things, yeah. Don't try to crack their skull. You'll break your knuckles.
See, that would be a good fish to club.
Yes.
Because they will thrash your
boat. You better have
around.
a big club.
Yeah, they'll
We
thrash
finally
it.
got it up, and I'm looking at this thing. It's absolutely gigantic. And we're like, we dump it back in.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until on the way home, and we all guessed it to be like over 10, 12 pounds, 11 pounds, whatever it was. Everybody guessed it over 10 pounds. We didn't put it on a scale. I don't even know if my dad had one. If he did, it was the old, probably rusty Delier that an 8-pound would have worried 4 because the springs are all rusty. It wouldn't have mattered. But on the way back, and I was like, I wonder what the record is. And this was pre-Google, obviously. This is, no mobile phones, much less Google. So, but they used to print the records in the back of the regulations. Do they?
Yeah, I think they do.
So I went and I grabbed the regulation book out of the tackle box, and I started looking. And at that time, it was, I think, right at 10 pounds or just under 10 pounds. And I was like, no. Even if on a conservative basis, if we were off by a pound, probably still was like, maybe it wasn't. Maybe, had maybe there was some ground shrinkage, like on antlers with deer, but it was a big fish. It would have been right there. And that's one of those fish that a lot of people don't even know what it is.
Right. You're right.
I have no idea what the record would be. How many times does that fish get caught and just released without anybody
probably
even
quite a few.
thinking of it?
Yep.
Red horse suckers too. Same, all that kind of non-popular fish.
Right.
That record probably gets broken all the time. I should just make it my point.
I
to
catch
go
a
out and
nice
see
red
how
horse.
many.
I'm like, hey, There's muskie bait right there.
Oh, yeah. How come I just thought of this the other day when there was a sucker minnow shortage. It seems like bait shops have them again. I don't know where they got them from miraculously, but now they all have suckers again. But they all gave me the weekend they were out, I got the speech from all of them like, well, you're not going to get any more the rest of the season.
Right.
Can't import them into the state. And the ones we have are, from hatchery fish, blah, blah, blah. But that got me thinking, how come we can't get juvenile red horse bait?
Well, you can if you know the right guy.
Well, because their color, that copper color they have, and their orange fins, I think that'd be way better than a white sucker.
Oh, all day long.
They look tougher, too.
They are.
Well, I need to know the guy. And they also, if you fish for them in the spring, like I used to do that. That used to be like a tradition for me. Every spring, shortly after ice out, when the suckers are doing their spawning run, man, just a worm on the bottom, that's just fun. That's just like finally got the short ice rods out and you get to break out. The walleye season's not open yet.
Right.
Dude, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. And you catch a ton of red horse. And as soon as you catch one, they just start spooging eggs and semen everywhere. I mean, it's just it's like a party weekend in Las Vegas, man. It's crazy. I wouldn't know. I've never been to Vegas, but it seemed like the right analogy.
It's good bass fishing at Lake Mead.
But no, I think you could probably milk those like super easily if you had the equipment. If you're a bait person, like you have, you're a primitive bait dealer, spend some time in the spring and just start milking those things and grow your own bait. You would have thousands of them.
They need to figure out what shiner minnows.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, the same thing. They were out of shiners at that same weekend. Again, now all of a sudden they had both of them 2 weekends later. Like, where'd you miraculously get these? It has to be somebody's pond. They had to just net out a big.
Probably.
Because what they had, there was a bunch of other stuff too, and mud minnows and rainbows and stuff. I like mud minnows. They're tough.
I like the rainbows.
I like rainbows too, but the mud minnows are tough. Actually, I caught a 42-inch northern on a mud minnow.
I believe it.
On the lax. On a tip down. It was great. I went Facebook Live with it. It was awesome. I'm getting a replica. How about that?
Are you? Sweet.
Well, I let it go. I wasn't even thinking. I knew it was my personal best, and a 42 or 40, was it 42 or 43? I don't remember anymore. That's a good fish, and that's by far the biggest northern I've caught. And then, I looked at it, and I was like, man, this thing is big. So let it go. I was like, that was fun. And it wasn't until days later, people were asking me, like, oh, did you keep it? I'm like, no, I didn't keep it. I don't want whatever. And they're like, was it your personal best? I'm like, well, yeah, it's my personal best. And then it kind of just kept gnawing at the back of my brain, like, that should probably be on the wall. Like, that was – and also I went back and I, looked at the footage and looked at the pictures, and it had really cool markings.
Yeah.
Like, towards the back of it almost looked chain pickerel-ish. Like, its spots were long and kind of edgy. Like, it was pretty interesting. I'm like, that one should be on the wall. So then I started researching. Replica businesses, and I found a guy that I liked. The price was right, so –
cool.
We'll see.
That'd be fun.
Hopefully it's in the process.
Hopefully
Can't wait to get it back.
Come back looking like a black tip shark. What the hell is this thing?
I wouldn't be mad at it. Black tips are fun to catch. You ever catch a shark?
Yeah.
They're fun. I love it. We go down to my brother lives in South Carolina. So fortunately he has got a boat. So we go down to Hilton Head and we fish for bull reds in the fall.
Sure.
And if you get there early enough and the sharks are still there, that's a lot of fun too. And I've been trying to engineer some sort of Minneapolis trip from here to there, kind of corporate guided gig. But first I got to get my captain's license, which I don't know why they won't return my correspondence, but I need to get signed up for that stupid class.
What are you trying to call? Ohio?
No, there was a place in there's only 2 places in this state. There's one guy in Duluth, and then there was another guy, I think, out of
Superior Training. Is where I got mine.
But this is in Wisconsin.
Yeah, he comes to Minnesota, though. He'll go to a resort and do a weekend gig. And
I've sent emails to both, and they haven't responded.
Well, he's probably in the Keys. He's in the winter. He's sales.
Really?
Oh, he's sales.
Oh, the Duluth guy is a sailor,
the Superior Training guy.
Yeah,
yes, the Duluth guy. You call him the Duluth guy.
I call him the Duluth guy.
Yeah.
That's right,
he's
buddy.
He's probably on
Captain
his boat.
Donnie, that's who he went through him, too, as well.
Yeah, he's probably on his boat. Give it another week or two.
Right
Try
on.
again.
Yeah. Oh, well, I need to do that sooner than later. Just it's good to have.
I think.
Anyways,
I don't think he's retired yet, but he's got to be getting close. He's getting old. Yeah. I'm hoping to get one more renewal out of him.
We can stir the pot a little bit with that, because right now You don't have to have that to be a guide in the state. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry can be a
No,
guide in the state.
and that's unfortunate.
But you have to have it for certain waters.
Any Coast Guard navigable water. Now.
Why is Mille Lacs in there?
Because it's connected to the Mississippi watershed.
Yeah,
good luck. Is Winnie.
Yeah, but good luck getting a multiple passenger boat.
Doesn't matter.
To Mille Lacs to St. Croix.
That has nothing to do with it.
But they all
that's
are.
why they.
You don't
That's
have to
why
have
they.
a
That's why they rose a stink. Like about 6-7 years ago, in the fall, I was getting 3 calls a day for smallmouth bass fishing on the St. Croix. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, because you had the captain's license.
Yeah. And here I find out that the Coast Guard was going to crack down on this Coast Guard licensing stuff. And, of course, the first place they shut every guy down, including the Grizz, was on
St. Croix.
St. Croix.
Yep.
And that whole thing.
And Mille Lacs.
Yeah.
Which is where he guided, was St. Croix and Mille Lacs.
Well, and Winnie, same thing.
Mississippi.
All of them.
Is it Winnie and Leach, too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just
I think even
the border
Cass.
waters
no.
and Mille Lacs.
That's a lot of big touristy
okay.
lakes. And that's why he started crying because he can't read. And there was rumor.
Read.
It's a test. You got to read a lot.
Yeah, sure.
He claimed he was illiterate. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe he had a background that didn't qualify either. Just rumor. I don't know. Long story short, there's a huge to-do. A couple other anglers went down in the to the Capitol. Yeah, we got to get this tabled. We're shutting down our guide business.
Right.
I've been doing this 30 years. Why do I got to spend $2,000 now? And I made the comment one time to some of these people, like, you know what? If you want to fly a plane, you need a pilot's license.
Licensed pilot, yeah.
If you want to drive a taxi or a limousine, you need a chauffeur's license.
Right.
If you want to be a fishing guide on a Coast Guard navigable lake and actually follow the Homeland Security rules, which is what it is,
right?
Get your goddamn Coast Guard license.
I think it's a good idea.
And if you don't want to shell at $1,400, then you're not serious about your job.
Yeah, and you want people to know how to handle a boat. I mean,
well, on that side of the
those
coin,
waters can get pretty sketchy.
I'm not a government-controlled freak or anything like that. But I'd be the first one to sign up for a petition that would say, if you want to be a fishing guide in Minnesota, you need certain qualifications.
Sure.
Background check, proper insurance,
first aid,
stuff that nobody has.
Stuff that makes sense.
Yep. Safety training, which is
I agree.
The best part about getting your Coast Guard license, other than having it and being able to not worry about where you're fishing, when, where, and all that stuff. And by the way, it's like you mentioned in Carolina, it's good for 25 miles off the coast.
Right.
You're good for salt water in the Keys, blah, blah, blah. Just don't let it expire.
You got to retake tests if it expires?
You start from scratch.
Oh.
That's why you don't want to miss your renewal.
Sure. And what do you got to do to renew it?
Every 5 years, go back and basically it's a weekend, a refresher course, and another test.
Oh, so you do have to take a test again. Okay.
Yep. Doesn't cost as much the second time.
Okay.
Yeah,
we covered this a little bit with the episode with Capt. Donnie, so I don't want to beat it too much, but I think there's some confusion around it.
I think there should at least be a register in Minnesota. Like, here's our list of licensed fishing guides. They've all paid their $200 yearly fee.
Sure.
Wisconsin's got it. I think North Dakota has it. It's a nominal. It's a minimal fee. But they at least have a record of you as being a human being in charge of a boat with people's lives on the boat.
It depends on where that money goes, I guess. Make sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to see it in the general fund. As far as it's just covering administrative costs.
It has to go towards the DNR.
If it's covering administrative costs to have that, we made this a thing. So that takes money. We got to pay state employees to file this stuff and process it. So if it's covering that, I wouldn't have any problem with it. If it was covering that and a little more to stock lakes, I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
You're not going to generate that much money.
As long as it goes back
with.
Into the resource, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would have, but I wouldn't want to see it fall into the general fund. There's too many things that are supposed to be earmarked for the outdoors. Getting in the general fund.
Right.
And once they're in the general fund, it's gone.
Right.
Forget it. That's going to build some stupid statue in downtown Minneapolis.
I totally agree. But I think there should be some kind of mild monitoring of the situation, because trust me, there's a lot of fishing guides I've met I wouldn't send my dog with.
Oh, we had. I'm not going to retell the story, but I've already. We had a bad experience.
Some innocent family,
a good guide in
Iowa.
South Carolina, and then one day in a bad guide in South Carolina. And the guy was in a raggedy ass redneck, a John boat, and He was terrible. We didn't go anywhere. We hardly caught anything. Like, he didn't try to. He didn't change anything. He's like, wow, this is where I'm biting. You know, whatever. Like,
right.
I'd pay that guy the
there
same
should
amount.
be some standards, you know, and that would be part of it too. But the biggest thing for me is a lot of the people don't have any safety equipment on board. They don't even have the proper insurance. You know, your average boat owner policy doesn't cover any commercial
liability.
endeavors.
Yeah.
So you and your family go out. He hits a rock. You fall overboard.
Sure.
You break your arm, your leg. Maybe you're in a coma. You're screwed.
Oof.
What are you going to do?
Right.
His insurance doesn't cover it.
Right.
And what are you going to do? Go grab his house?
Right.
No.
Right.
I mean, it can go on and on about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's important to have. I don't not disagree that there probably should.
I mean,
be
even
some
the ice fishing
regulation on it.
You know, you got to have the same insurance as ice fishing.
You drop your truck through the lake.
Well, I put people in a fish house into a carbon monoxide problem. Guess what? I'm on the hook.
I almost did that to myself once.
So
I was out on Buffalo, I think. It was like 20 below zero.
Tatanka?
Super cold, Tatanka.
that sounds better.
It does.
Lake Tatanka.
But there is a Tatanka Lake and there is a Buffalo Lake, and you're going to confuse people.
So is Mini Tonka a small buffalo?
Should be. I think so.
Google
No,
that
it's not Mini Tatanka. It's just Mini Tonka.
So?
It's a small truck.
Well, that's true.
I think it's a small truck lake. Toy truck. And it was super cold, no wind. One of those nights, and I was fishing in a portable. So I had the heater cranked, had her buttoned up tight, you know. Bad idea.
Got a little crazy.
Fishing was super slow. Started getting sleepy.
Oh.
And I was like, the plan, I got out there like late afternoon. The plan was set up for like a night bite or whatever. I'm like, well, it's probably going to be an hour or two before the bite gets good. I should just take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, nah, fishing's shitty. It's probably going to be shitty. Screw it. I'm just going to go home. Packed everything up. Started pulling my house back to shore. And I was walking. I didn't have an ATV or anything. Nobody was driving on lakes yet. And I'm dragging it off. And halfway back, I just get a pounding headache. And I never get headaches. And I was like, what is going on? And it wasn't shortly after I got to the car, and I'm dealing with this headache where the light bulb went off. And I was like, oh, thank God I didn't take that nap.
Yep.
I might have woke up dead.
Yeah, you would have woke up dead.
Because
that's
that's what that was. Yeah, you want to make sure, for anybody out there listening, if you're new to the ice fishing game, that monoxide's literally a killer. Make sure you're venting that house.
Yeah. Well, most houses aren't that air. Well, the new ones are, but
or you can get a buddy heater that has an automatic.
Yeah, they should at least have an automatic shut off.
But I had a sunflower, and they don't. Those don't have it.
No.
Those are just.
And it obviously was burning dirty, you know.
Right.
But yeah, you have to have a carbon monoxide detector in every fish house, I think.
Yeah,
you know, even the day houses, in the Nana one, you know, my day
Do
houses.
they make like a hanging one to put up in portables?
They
That'd
should.
be a pretty good idea. There's another $1 million idea for somebody.
Yeah, you paint it blue, put clam on the side, and charge $50 for it.
Boom. Perfect.
Done. Erase that part. Damn it.
Just gave it away. Just giving ideas away left and right.
Well, even when
Actually, I think our first idea didn't make air because we weren't recording.
Actually, I have one with me typically in the car, even in the summertime. So if I'm staying somewhere or in the fall, may stay at a motel and we're hunting somewhere. I mean, I bring it in the room with me.
Sure.
You know, some of these places just have a wall furnace.
Right.
Some of them have a furnace somewhere in the building. You don't know what the hell it looks
knows?
like.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
You never know what you're getting into.
No. So I always have one with me.
Right.
You know.
You said you did some hunting in the fall. What do you hunt? That's your time off. You don't guide, but you just hunt.
No.
You deer hunt or bird hunt?
Deer hunt, pheasant hunt, duck hunt.
Oh, a little bit of everything.
The basics.
Whatever.
Grouse hunt.
Whatever floats your fancy that day.
I love ducks. I love duck hunting.
Okay, I do
but
too.
I've definitely weaseled my way toward pheasants more in the last 10 years just because the duck hunting around here sucks, you know, comparatively.
If you're comparing it to Canada or North Dakota.
Yeah. Well anyway.
It's not. I mean, there could be that could be a whole separate subject, but your quality of waterfowling comes down, in my opinion, comes down to scouting. The people that I hear bitch day in and day out every season that it's just not like it used to be. They go to the same slough every time, blind, and they're like zero scouting. They're like, well, we've always shot them here before. Okay, well, things change.
Right.
I don't know.
Things change.
It's nature.
Yep.
I mean, what do you want? Yeah. Maybe they're still up north because the weather. Maybe it's not a warm spring or a warm fall, and they just haven't moved down yet.
Yeah, we typically do.
Got to put in some windshield time and
Oh, yeah.
check it out. I mean,
I kind of use my pheasant hunting as my scouting.
that's a good call. You'll find some good potholes that way.
Hell yeah.
You got a dog?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Pheasant. I learned early on when I was young, full of piss and vinegar, that grouse hunting and pheasant hunting without a dog is called taking your gun for a walk.
Yep. Darn right.
I shot a couple.
You might shoot
of
one,
each.
but you'll never find it.
Yeah. But it's
You're
it's
dropping on a dirt
tough. Real
yeah.
tough.
Yeah, I hate to say it, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a long
Unless you're
it's a nature walk.
Yeah, you're ground pounding grouse, which
Yeah.
most people do anyways.
Yeah, on a
But
trail with your, it's fluttering around, and you can pull that off for first couple weeks.
They usually give themselves away.
Yeah.
They get that little peep, 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 or
Right.
that cluck, and you're like, where are you? If you can find them before they spot you and they blow cover, you can roll them, ground roll them.
Yeah, I guess if you had to pick one to hunt without a dog, you'd pick the grouse.
I would pick grouse for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Pheasants will just sit tight. Well, grouse will too, but they don't give themselves away with the clucking like the grouse do.
No.
They just
literally
just sit tight and walk right past them.
It's amazing.
They'll do it with the dogs
amazing.
sometimes, especially if they're game farm birds. You have to kick them to get them to fly.
Right.
That was a good troll early on when, people would post pictures on social media. Kind of social media is brand new. When somebody go to a game farm and they'd post the pictures of the birds that they shot, and there'd be hens mixed in there. You want people's heads to explode? Holy God. There's a guy that trimmed off a few years of his lifespan from Pheasants Forever. I guarantee it. The first time he saw that picture,
right.
Just must have lost his shit. It caught me off. I didn't get. I was like, are those hens in there? And then I read the post.
I still can't go to a pheasant
X or whatever game
hens.
farm. Oh, okay, all right.
I don't know. I got to take my new dog to Pheasant Ranch just a couple of times, but I don't.
It's a good way to sharpen them up, though.
I
mean, they have a purpose. I don't.
Yeah, it's a training ground for that. That's how I look at it.
And they don't always get them all, so it's kind of like stalking pheasants.
No,
if you will.
it's fine. And it teaches them to differentiate all the scents, the different, the fresh, the old, the other dogs, all the people. I mean, it's a shit show for a dog at a pheasant ranch.
Actually,
you imagine that poor bastard
trails everywhere.
Jesus Christ!
But they also different. They get some. Get them on a fresh scent. They get to determine what's a fresh scent and what's a stale scent too. So that's important.
I trained my yellow
even
lab,
in the wild.
My yellow lab years ago, how to differentiate. Apparently, I found a hen smells differently than a rooster.
I believe it.
All right, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's
pretty
true.
Sure
because I trained it.
I'm pretty sure female humans smell a lot better. The
know.
male nose.
That's a question.
Dude.
I don't know about that.
Let's not get too specific on
that.
Well,
anyway, that dog was trained to only flesh roosters. Once it crossed that bridge,
really?
it never fleshed a hen.
Wow.
Yes.
That's I believe it.
I will admit at times it got a little boring because guess what?
You're not fleshing birds.
At least a hen, gives you a little excitement once in a while. Yeah, but the dog would not. There was a point where it never fleshed a hen again.
I almost
by itself. I mean, if it's a hit by the rooster, you know what I mean. Then they got together.
Yeah, I almost got to shoot some pheasants when I was duck hunting. I went we dropped the bird, kind of went behind us, and there's this little tiny finger of land that came out into the swamp, and I'm walking over there to retrieve the other bird, and I was like, oh, and I instantly just shouldered, just got a habit. It was like hen, then the third one, hen. Oh, man, that would have been cool. Retrieve a duck and come back. I mean, had they been roosters, that would have been an easy
bonus.
Easy double right there. Boom, boom. Easy. They were super close. Well, I probably would have messed it up somehow, but come back. Go retrieve a duck, come back with come back with 2 pheasants and a duck. How about that? It's a pretty good deal. Doesn't happen very often.
Hell no.
Well, something there's a spot I hunt. It's a long ass hike back into the state forest. I love it because nobody else goes back there because you'd have to be an idiot like me. It's a lot of work for a little payoff. But when you're back there isn't a better place in the state. If you'd swear somebody dropped it without, I mean, there's no. You expect to see mountains on the horizon because it just has that like that Canadian or that Alaskan kind of bog look to it. And it's just gorgeous. Apparently it's not in a flight path. You don't hear cars, you don't hear planes, you don't hear anything but the noise you're making and nature. It's awesome. It's a 2-mile hike as the crow flies. In water, out of water, in water, out of water. The good part about that is I'd say half the time on our way back out, I got my decoys on my back, whatever, but the gun's in my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because half the time I shoot a grouse on my way out.
Sure.
Same way, they'll give themselves away. They'll burp, burp, burp. I'm like, and now I'm ready for it. Like the first time it was a surprise. Every time since, I'm like waiting for it. Didn't get one this year, but I did shoot a rabbit.
Yeah.
Didn't really mean, well, I did mean to, but it took off. Showed, saw the movement. I was like, shoot, I'm not going to shoot it. And then it stopped. Okay, I'm going to shoot it. I like rabbit. Rabbit's delicious.
It is, actually.
Wasn't really my,
it actually
like I said, it wasn't my intent, but I'm like, well, if you're going to stop, I guess. And I was like, yeah, you probably got to get going. We've been
couple minutes.
Hour and a half, so this would have been a 3-hour podcast probably if we would have recorded the first half.
Oh, man.
It would have been a good.
That's
There's such good stuff in there, but we'll have to do it again.
The problem is they're not going to get to hear the world's latest and greatest fishing secret.
Oh, that's true.
Deal breaker, lure, Supremo, El Chapo.
In fact, I'm not going to even mention it because they'll keep tuning in for the next time. We'll just
crazy.
make an agreement. We'll have to do this in the summertime, see how the season's going. But let everybody know real quick how they can get a hold of you.
I don't want them to get a hold of me.
Oh, my God. This is going to be the only guy ever.
All you have to do is Google Minnesota Fishing Guide Service. That's the starting point.
Captain Josh.
Or you can slash her up www. Bush. www.minnesotaguideservice.com. One giant word.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
yep.
Minnesota.
You bet.
Yeah, you bet.
Otherwise, if you're on the ice fishing deal, it's www.minnesotaiceFishhouse.
And you're on the gram, or on the Instagram.
Same Facebook, Minnesota Fishing Guide Service on Facebook.
But you write articles for a couple magazines, do you not?
Mm-hmm. Midwest Hunting and Fishing.
But you got to write an article today, you told me.
That's Outdoors Weekly.
You better get to it.
That one.
Chop.
Otherwise, Minnesota Guide Service.
Cool.
Minnesota Fishing Guide Service on the Google Ida, Google Ida.
On the Google.
On the Googs. Or
the big
MinnesotaGuideService.com or 320-291-0708. And that was a 9.
Did I catch a 9er in there? Awesome, Josh. I appreciate you doing this, sitting down.
Sure.
This has been fun. I really wish you would have caught some of the first half of that, but that's how it goes. Technology. I'm still learning it.
Love it or hate it.
Well, it was in there. It was supposed to be working. I guess I didn't do my due diligence to
kind of like your new
make sure it was actually recording. I just gave it a little too much faith, but whatever. It is what it is. So, all right, we're gonna end this podcast, and that's it. All right, appreciate it.
10-4.